So if we get this right, if we refocus on what really matters, what could aging well look like for individuals and communities?
Well, I think, in another conversation will be coming up in a future episode that we've already recorded, but Tim Christopherson and we just recorded the conversation, and you know how I favor the tragedy of the commons, right? And it's something that impacted me as an undergraduate in an assignment that I had, and I've carried that through. It has shaped my worldview for probably pushing 45 years now. And in my pathophysiology and exercise class, I have the students read the article. It's a 1968 article, and it's by Garrett Hardin. I recommend everybody read it and absorb it. But I've long talked about the tragedy of the commons and the role that, and if we look at it from like a longevity standpoint, healthcare standpoint, think of the commons as a pasture that is shared by multiple different ranchers or farmers that have an animal grazing on it. And if they all put one animal out on that field and allow the field to naturally kind of restore itself based after the grazing, then everything is sustainable. The field continues to be productive. The farmers get milk from their cattle and so on. But invariably, human nature is, well, if I just put one more cow on the land, it's not going to have a huge impact. And that impact is going to be shared by the many. And so nobody's going to really feel it that much. But then every other farmer starts doing the same thing. Suddenly now that field is overgrazed and it can't sustain
Mm,
and it depletes itself. So in my physical activity or the pathophysiology and exercise class, I have them talk about that article relative to like healthcare versus universal health. And when we look at healthcare, it's just unmanageable in this country. I mean, we are becoming sicker and sicker and sicker. It's costing more and more money. And as you know, in Oregon, we have changed the Constitution where universal health care is labeled as a fundamental human right. And yet there's no discussion about how much is that going to cost us? And if we
mm,
continue to be unhealthy, the cost of healthcare is just going to continue to skyrocket. And then you're going to have to get to a point where you have to ration that care. And I know our friends in Canada see this with their bit more of a socialized medicine. And not that I think that people should not have access to healthcare, but what we have to realize is that the sicker we become, the resources are only available to the sickest. And if the sick aren't even getting the care that they need, but the person who is just on the fringe of getting sick and just through a little bit of intervention might be able to correct their health, that individual doesn't get the care that they need because they don't have access to health care, then they're going to get worse and they're going to get more sick. And it's just going to add to the cost of aging well. And so if we refocus in on, okay, this individual has this particular need, we're going to focus on that. But we also have to focus in on, we talk about the why versus the why not somebody should be wanting to age well. The why not is up to our community. If we
mm.
have obstacles to people being able to live longer, healthier, more vital lives, then what can we do as a society to open up that access rather than keeping it closed and then just dealing with, having to fix the problem, putting a Band-Aid on the ruptured blood vessel rather than trying to prevent them from getting the injury in the first place. And so our communities, we can look at, okay, well, what do we need to make people well? We need safe outdoor environments for people to exercise. We need better education. We need, better access to good nutrition. All these things are things that we can do if we are thinking about being more transformational, being more transformative selves as opposed to just focusing in on ourselves. If I live the lifestyle that I want to live, good or bad, and I get sick, then I just go to the hospital's going to take care of me. That doesn't help society and it doesn't help our communities age well. But if we start thinking about, okay, what can I do personally to be less of a drain on the healthcare systems, to live well, to contribute to my communities, then I'm growing part of that community.